Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. And here we have the PML NFL Wins Pool podcast in review. Today I'm joined by Andrew Wick and Luke Donahue.
I think it's going to be tough this week. That was such a perfect rendition of the NFL theme that we might still get copyrighted.
Last two times people said my sound sucked that we still got copywritten, so, you know, I'm pretty accomplished.
We're trying.
How's everyone doing?
We're looking at the draft results right now, all three of us. I think this is the first year the Patriots actually went number one. So, credit to Wick for taking probably the highest floor, safest bet team in the NFL. I have no doubt this is finally the year they only win 8 games.
Wick, yeah. Any counter to that?
My counter is my boss just texted me, so give me 34 seconds.
Okay.
I know there was a bit of a reaction to Craig taking the Eagles at 3. I don't know why. I think they're a pretty solid choice to win double-digit games this year.
Yeah.
In the NFL, though, like, that's the crazy thing. I'm always pretty confident that I know which teams are going to be good and bad, and then it comes to my pick, and I feel like I'm panicking, and I end up picking a team that's just going to collapse on me. So, yeah. I have not historically done well in this event. I don't think I've ever come in last, but I've definitely never won. So take that with a grain of salt when I'm trashing all of your picks.
I'm pretty sure I have never finished worse than 4th in this event, so I'm pretty solid at it, too.
I've never finished top half in like 5 years. I'm terrible.
It's because you don't pick the Bengals.
Well, no. If you recall, I picked them several times because there was a whole debate if playoffs count or not, and we said no. So I picked them, and then they went like 4-12.
Sounds like the Bengals.
That must have been 2 years ago. Yeah, so like the top, I thought that there were 4 teams really that I was pretty confident would get double-digit wins this year, and those 4 teams were the top 4 picks.
So
I'm less sold on the Saints, but at 5, I think that's a perfectly fine pick by Preston. I like the Chargers at 6. I think that's a fine pick by Baxter. I think that everybody who's like, oh, they won't win the division because the Chiefs are there, like, that's dumb. You can still have the second most wins in the league, or even tie for the most and not win your division.
Yeah, I mean, they were 3rd most wins, and they're tied for 2nd or 3rd or something last year, and still had to play the wild card.
Yeah.
But in the first round, the first 8 picks were pretty standard, and 9 is where, I mean, 9 was probably the wildest pick, and it wasn't even that crazy. I was texting Luke when it happened, and I was like, where do you think the Browns go? And he was like, I might take them if they're at 12. And I think Tilka being so upset by the Steelers being taken from him because he also wanted a homer pick, he went with the hype of the Browns.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised the Steelers went before the Browns. I don't know if that's a reflection. I've been paying attention a little bit to a lot of the projections right now on ESPN and Fox and everywhere else. And even though everybody was like so big on the Browns, it seemed like 2 months ago, everybody's picking the Steelers still to win that division. And then like the Browns to, maybe sneak into the playoffs, maybe not even make it. And I thought that I was feeling that people were talking about them as a dark horse Super Bowl contender just a couple weeks back.
No.
Maybe those things aren't exclusive, but it seems that everybody's cooled off on the Browns already, and we haven't even started the regular season.
I mean, I think you can only have a hype train going for so long. It either crashes or it just loses momentum. And I think their win total is like 8.5 this year. If they get 8 wins, that's a huge boost. And, Freddie Kitchen saying, we want to win a Super Bowl. It's like, slow your roll. You still haven't had a winning season in fucking forever. So
I mean, at the same time, what's he supposed to say?
Well, yeah.
I get that. So I like the Browns pick at 9. I probably would have considered them at 9 or 10 either way. I would have picked the Steelers because I'm a homer. I actually don't love Kevin's Bears pick, but I think it severely drops off at 6 right there.
Yeah, but I don't like the Bears pick either. I honestly would have taken the Steelers there instead, but who knows? That whole division is tough. The Lions could somehow steal a wild card in that division. So
yeah. Well, so, I think it's that 7 through. I think it's basically 7 through 16. I'm looking at that group of teams, and I would have rather picked like 13, 14, 15 than at 7. Basically,
I put the Chargers in there as well. I'm not sold on them as at the level of the other top 5 teams.
Well, I'm not sold as this. I don't think the Saints are in the same class as that top 4. I think they're very due for regression this year, for a variety of factors. And I think Breeze severely dropped off at the end of last year, and we might be like that. This might be it for him. There's a chance.
But they have Taysom Hill as a backup, so they're fine at quarterback.
Sure. But he's not going to lose his job unless he's really bad. Breeze is. Like they'd have to be going like they'd already have to be at like a 3-7 scenario for Breeze to get kicked out. Not that that'll happen. Jared's pick at 10 just completely. That was hilarious. Because he immediately afterwards asked, "Do you think I could have gotten the Falcons at 13?"
It's definitely never a great look if you show weakness in the middle of the draft, but I do think he could have gotten the Falcons at 13. I don't know. I don't think Luke is high on them, and I know Kevin doesn't pay attention to football unless it's actual soccer.
Well,
wow, shots fired.
I think the Falcons are going to be better this year.
Yeah.
He definitely could have gotten them at 13.
Yeah.
100%.
I don't think it was that bad of a pick.
Yeah, I know, I agree.
Who else are you taking at 10? I mean, are the Texans or Vikings really that much better than the Falcons? It's kind of a crapshoot at that point.
I think the Vikings definitely are. I don't like the Texans pick. I think the Packers. Honestly, I'd rather have the Packers than the Falcons. And if you had reversed the picks, maybe I wouldn't be ragging on them so hard. I think the Seahawks slipping to 14 is crazy. I think the Cowboys slipping to 15 is crazy.
Yeah.
I was split between the Vikings and the Cowboys at my pick, with the Seahawks as like a backup when Baxter picked the Steelers, and I was like looking at how everything was going to play out.
See, outside of the Browns pick, I'm looking from like 9 to 15.
Yeah.
Is like, it's very much this team could win the division, but at worst, they're going to have like 8 or 9 wins. Yeah. Cowboys being the last pick of all of those, I honestly think the Cowboys and the Eagles, like both of them, I think could have double-digit wins this year. That's maybe just my SEC East bias. SEC East. NFC East bias.
Yeah.
But
no, and I think the Ravens are actually in that group where I think their floor is a little bit lower because like this whole Lamar Jackson thing could blow up in their face. But I still think like John Harbaugh's way too good of a coach for that team to only get like 6 wins.
Fair.
And Joe Flacco's been a flat out bad quarterback for the past 5 seasons, and they're still getting like 8 wins a season easy.
The Ravens need to trade for Josh Allen right now.
What?
The Ravens need to trade for Josh Allen right now.
We'll get to that. I love that bill. I mean, we'll get to there. I love the value Evan got of the Bills at 24.
I meant the linebacker, not the quarterback.
Oh. The Jaguars. Oh, yeah. You took the Jaguars at 18. Is that just because you hate Cam Newton that much?
I mean, the only teams I was really I think it was Jaguars, Colts, and 49ers, believe it or not. It was the 3 teams I was looking at. 49ers fell like 8 spots. I almost picked them.
Well, yeah, we'll get there. Raiders at 21, I absolutely hate. But I like the Colts pick for Preston. I like the Ravens where they went. I like the Titans where they went. I think Wick overdrafts the Jaguars by a couple picks, but like not much. And certainly you get into personal preference when you're getting to like the back half of NFL wins pool teams. It's like, which team do I specifically really like the makeup of?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't that happy with either of my last 2 picks, to be honest.
I don't think
I like your Buccaneers pick. I actually was hoping, like, I don't want to get too far ahead, but I really like the Panthers at 19. I think that's a great pick for Max.
Yeah, I was debating Panthers at 16, and I ultimately chose Ravens, but kind of wish I'd gone with them. Who knows? I don't think the Cam Newton injury is as big as everyone says it is. I think he will play all 16 games. Like,
I think getting them at 16 would have been fine value.
Yeah,
but you're hoping for a 10-win team at 16, but like you're mostly just trying to avoid a 6-win team. Excuse me. And I think like they had the worst possible season last year, and I think they still got like 6 or 7 wins. So I think there's a lot of underlying factors with them that suggest they're going to be a good team this year.
I just got too much Bama in me, I guess.
Yeah, no, the Panthers always kind of fall because of that, because of Cam, and we're a group of Bama fans, so / graduates.
And he cheats.
That too.
I like the Colts pick just because Preston got him, and we were texting earlier in the summer, and Preston was like, I kind of want to take the Colts at 5, and I was like, dude, that's pretty much where they should go. Like, they're a Super Bowl contender, and now it's like, oh, thank God we didn't do this draft like a month ago, or else Preston would really off himself. Like, I don't think
Preston at 20 is. I like them. I think that Jacoby Brissett's better than people remember, and they have way more talent than that team in 2017. Like, they picked up 2 All-Pros in between that team and this year's team.
So third round, to me, the third round had a lot of throwaway teams, except for, in my opinion, the Lions are a wild card and the Niners are a wild card. And
I like the Bills in that conversation.
You think the Bills
actually.
too? To me,
I think the Bills have like 9-win, like somehow had a negative point differential, but got 9 wins and are now like playing somebody terrible at home in a terrible game like 2 years ago. Like I see a lot of that.
I throw the Broncos in just because I trust the infrastructure, and they seem like they're never like a 3-13 team.
Yeah,
the value at 24 to 28 just to me underlies how terrible the picks from 21 to 23 were.
Like Raiders, Jets, Redskins. To me, the Redskins are like. I honestly think the Redskins have the first overall pick this year. I'm very low on them.
I think the Redskins are a bottom 3 team. Definitely bottom 4 or 5. I don't know what Jared sees in them. He tried to defend that pick already. I mean, sure, maybe Dwayne Haskins comes in and Josh Reed stays healthy. Well, that's not happening. But like the rest of that team, like there are like some mediocre playmakers, and like maybe the Bama players play up to their potential on defense. But that defense was bad.
Jordan Reed.
He said Josh Reed.
I said Josh Reed, didn't I?
Yeah.
I was very confused. I was trying to think for a second.
Jordan Reed. Sorry, the tight end who's always injured and is injured right now with another concussion. He's had like 5 in his career, and he's always sat out several games for him. So Jared trying to defend him as only having a concussion was kind of hilarious during the time. The Jets, I think, of that little grouping are the most defensible, but I'd rather have. I think the Bills are better than the Jets. I don't love the Lions as much as Craig does, but I think that's a fine pick. Especially, like, Baxter taking the Lions was perfect.
Homer picks are the best picks.
Yeah, I think that, like, the Lions at 25 is exactly where I expected them to go, but I would have thought the 49ers and Broncos would have been gone by 26 and 27. And it's the Raiders and the Redskins pick in the top half of the third round that are just making me scratch my head.
I want to talk about the Dolphins pick. Where
they shouldn't have been drafted.
Kevin took like 24 hours, maybe 18 hours to make a pick, and in that time, Luke said something along the lines of, just give Kevin the Dolphins and let me pick. And Kevin didn't read that context and go, ooh, I guess the Dolphins aren't good, and Kevin instead took the Dolphins. I think they're a bottom 3 team as well. I don't know about first overall. I still feel like that's the Redskins, but that Kevin had the chance to think about it a little longer than anyone else took, and he still kind of fumbled it.
All right. In Kevin's defense, though, like...
Uh-oh.
Agree. My nightmare scenario at 30 was heading into a pick of the Cardinals, the Dolphins, and the... Redskins, and having to pick. I thought I was going to have to pick the Cardinals out of that 3. I don't know why. Like the Dolphins should not have been drafted. They just flat out shouldn't. They're openly tanking. They have almost no talent on the defensive side. It's all either old or injured. They've spent a ton of money on bad offensive players. Like they're a terrible team. They're a terribly designed team. I think they're a 2-win to 4-win team this year. If they get 5 wins, that's a major success, except it's also a failure because they can't get tuna.
Wick, what was your defense for Kevin?
Like, I just think there weren't a lot of great teams. I mean, I guess Luke likes the Bengals.
I like every single team he didn't take. I think the Dolphins were the worst of the 4 teams he had available.
I don't think
the Bengals are good. I just think they have much better talent than the Dolphins.
I think
think that's probably fair, but like, how much worse are we talking? I mean, no more than a win.
No, I think we're talking 3 to 4 wins for each of, like, maybe not the Cardinals, because I didn't think the Cardinals
Who's
were going
getting
to
3
draft
to 4 more wins than the Dolphins, though? If you're saying they're getting 2 to 4 wins, are you saying everyone else is getting 6 wins?
I think that the Giants and Bengals are both potential 6-win teams, maybe even more. I think the Redskins are a 4-win team.
I would hope every team in the league is a potential 6-win team.
What?
Yeah.
I said I would hope every team in the league is a potential 6-win team. I mean, the Browns last year were coming off 1-31, and they were a 7-win team.
I don't think the Dolphins or Redskins are 6-win teams. I think they're both decided. Like I think that's the absolute best case scenario for each of their seasons, and that's being generous.
All right, so we're at 16 minutes, probably about halfway through. So let's jump to looking at individual squads. Let's start with the first overall pick, and that is Andrew Wick. Wick has Patriots, Jags, and Buccaneers.
Ugh. That first pick hurts you.
7th place. Let's move on.
Yeah, not last. I really like that Buccaneers pick. I'll say that.
I would have preferred him to take the Bengals.
Maybe the Bengals get more wins than the Buccaneers, but we're talking about 1 win there.
The Bengals will never do what you want them to do. Just remember that.
They did exactly what I wanted them to do last year when I took them in like 28. I mean, the Bengals or the Buccaneers, fine. I really just don't like that Jaguars pick. It was a tough spot being first overall.
All right, Krebs with Chiefs, Panthers, and Niners. And honestly, I think, to me, that's like a top 3 squad. That's a very solid grouping.
He's the favorite, is he?
Well, there's one other group I really like, but we'll get there.
It's probably his own.
No, it's not.
Craig, Eagles, Ravens, Broncos. I almost drafted the Cardinals instead of the Broncos just for the all-bird team, but the value was too good with the Broncos, so I took them instead.
Yeah, I think that's a top half team right now.
At least, if not top 3.
I'll take top half. I definitely think top half. I don't know about top 3 for me.
Yeah.
Luke with Rams, Vikings, and Giants, and to me, I think this is another top 3 team. That's on. I mean, not that the Giants are gonna, put you over the top.
I don't think they're top 3. I think this is like a top 5. But it really depends on the Vikings not like giving up on Kirk Cousins midway through the year, and the Giants having like an okay season.
I think Luke finishes 4th, but there's a big gap between 4th and everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Preston.
Saints, Colts, and Raiders.
I'd like this a lot more if I didn't think the Saints were going to regress this year.
Well, they had 13 wins last year, didn't they? Or did
but
they?
I don't think it's a last place team. I think it's a pretty good team.
Hmm.
It's like fine, like 6th place.
I think he ties for 7th.
Evan with Chargers, Titans, and Bills. And this one is a very mixed bag to me. I could see this being either a top 3 or a bottom 3 team. Like, I don't think...
I think his bottom limit is 6th. This is the other one I really like. I think this is one that might push Max if everything goes right for him.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I really like the talent on the Bills outside of Josh Allen. I really like what the Bills are doing, what the Bills did this offseason. So I like that as its last pick. And I like the Titans in this AFC West or AFC South with no other good teams. And I think the Chargers are, and I like the Chargers too. We've already kind of gone over that.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not high on the Titans at all.
I don't think the Titans or Bills are good, but I think they're both 9-win teams. And if he can get like a 12-win season, that's his 30 wins right there. That's top 3 almost every year.
Yeah,
30 wins.
I just don't see. I see the Bills as between 7 and 9 wins, and the Titans between 7 and 9 wins, but that doesn't mean they both get 9 wins. I'm pretty low on the Titans for sure, and Chargers. I think they're at least a 10-win team, but I'm not going to say 12.
I think the Titans are a candidate for the first pick in the draft.
Really? I don't think they're that low, but they're definitely.
Reports out of camp are that Mariota is just having an awful camp. I think it's very possible he gets hurt week 2 or 3. They go to a backup and just openly tank and fight the Dolphins for the first.
Yeah, but Tannehill's their backup. He's too good to openly.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to openly tank, but I do think they will accidentally.
Tannehill was so bad the openly tanking Dolphins dropped him.
Well, they dropped him because they dropped him because they.
If he was good, they would have needed him.
Yeah, I agree.
I do buy Mariota and Tannehill both get hurt, and then this team only gets 4 wins. That I could see that happening.
That would be hilarious. Not because they're injured, but because just how awful that would be for them. Let's move on. Kevin, Bears, Texans, and Dolphins. We already talked about this Dolphins pick and how kind of out of place it is.
I'm sorry, Kevin. I guess I don't feel too bad because y'all got to rip on me during EPL podcast, but I don't like that 3.
Texans are AFC South favorites. I don't know what the actual odds are, but at worst they're tied with the Colts now. I see them as a 10-win team. Bears definitely regress. I see them as maybe 9 or 10 wins, but they'll probably get edged out of a wild card just because the NFC is ruthless this year. So
you don't get points for winning wild card or division, though. I can totally see the Texans going 9-7 and still winning that division, and then the Dolphins being terrible, and he ends up with 21 wins total. I can see that. I very easily see that scenario where he's got 2 8 or 9 win teams, and then a 3-win team in the Dolphins.
Yeah. Wick, what do you think of Kevo?
I think my boss texted me again. So
I like Baxter's group primarily because he has the Steelers,
of course,
and I like the Seahawks and Lions picks.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on the Lions, and Seahawks and Steelers are solid teams. Those are teams that are always competing, so that's a very solid team. I think he's top half for sure.
Well, we've already said half the league's top half, so.
I won't go back through the whole list, but I think of the 7 or so teams we've named, I definitely only think maybe 3 or 4 of them are top half. So Baxter's in that 3 or 4. Tilka, I will add to the top half, and possibly...
Okay, we're definitely at 6 teams in the top half of the 10-person league.
We do not.
We do too.
Anyways, Tilka...
Great radio.
I would then throw into the top maybe 2 or 3. The Browns, who knows? I honestly think the Browns get 10 wins and a playoff berth. That's an amazing season for them. Cowboys, I already said it. I think they get 10 or 11 wins with the Eagles, and one of those 2 wins the division. And then the Jets are just kind of They'll probably get at least 5 or 6 wins. Who knows?
I see a scenario, I think it's possible, which would be amazing, that Tilka's first-round team is the worst team of his 3, because the Jets have a very easy schedule this year, and Darnold really lit it up in the back half of last season. So if you buy into that at all, and the addition of Le'Veon Bell and all that kind of stuff, there's a chance that the Jets are a 9-win team. And if the Browns really underachieve, just by having they have bad offensive line and bad linebackers, basically. And those are 2 things that usually indicate a team that's going to underachieve, quote-unquote. Just because people like teams with good skill position players.
Stop talking
I think there's a scenario where
bad linebackers underachieving.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Luke is saying the Browns have bad linebackers when they've got a steal in Mac Wilson in the 5th round, and he's having an amazing camp.
And there's another certain team that has some backup linebackers playing very soon. So.
Oh yeah, don't remind me, man. We're talking about NFL.
Everyone.
Either way, I feel like Tilka's team is one that, if you had somebody who had never watched football before, but then turned on ESPN, it was like, ooh, who's SportsCenter talking about?
Yeah.
Browns, Cowboys, Jets.
Those are 3 teams that have gotten a lot of talk this year.
Yeah.
As being, pretty good.
Jared's team.
Hey, terrible. Before we begin Jared's, I just want to give Luke the floor for another 2-minute rant on how terrible Jared's team is in his opinion. So, Luke, take it away.
Jared's team is just awful. The Redskins were an all-time terrible pick. I was going to call them the absolute worst pick of the draft before the Dolphins got drafted at all. But I think they're still the worst pick of the draft because at least the Dolphins were a bottom 4 pick. This Redskins team was supposed to be like making up for the fact that Jared didn't get a top 9 pick. And then in his top, like when he needed a high 4 team, he chose the Falcons, who just are off of a 7-win season, and the Packers, who are off of a 6-win season, and brought in a new head coach to get along with Aaron Rodgers, which by some accounts is not going well. Plus that Packers team, I don't like that Packers defense. I don't like the Falcons defense. Everyone who talks about how good the Falcons defense is, you're basically thinking about a 4-game Super Bowl run, which is the same as Joe Flacco. So what I'm saying is the Falcons have Joe Flacco on defense and a pretty good offense, which sounds like an 8-win team to me.
Sounds like an elite defense, in my opinion.
All right, I'm gonna give a spicy hot take right now. I think this team is top 5. I think the Falcons are an 11 to 14 win team. I think the Redskins are a 6 to 8 win team. I think the Packers win the Super Bowl and Kevin dances for weeks.
Wow.
I love it. I mean, that's the great thing. That could happen. It's the NFL. Who the fuck knows? Like, there's a very good chance that one of those top 6 teams only gets, 6 wins this year. And there's a very good chance that some team taken in the 3rd round has 12 wins. Like, it happens almost every year. You never know. Any given Sunday and whatnot.
All right. So now that we've gone through every team, let's everyone pick a winner and then everyone pick a loser. Let's start with who do you think wins, Luke?
I'm picking EB. I'm really feeling that.
Wow.
I like it.
That is, I still think that is crazy, but I like the take. It's spicy. Wick, who wins?
Max wins, Baxter loses.
Ooh.
I do not like the Baxter pick, but I will agree. I think Max wins as well. My loser, I would have to say Kevin, just because 1, it's Kevin, and 2, Dolphins are a mistake.
I think Kevin and Jared spend all year battling for last place.
That's solid. I'll take that.
I think for as much shit as I just gave Jared, I have to pick Jared now. Like, I kind of think it would be Kevin, but I have to go stick with Jared. Like, you got to stick with your guns there.
And trust your gut. It's primal instinct, right?
I don't know if I'll ever get over that Redskins pick.
All right. Well,
they're gonna like. I mean, they're gonna especially screw me because I have the Giants. But, whew, got to put that spice out there now when it doesn't matter.
All right. Well, that concludes the NFL Wins Pool pod. Any final thoughts from you guys on specific Wins Pool ideas or anything going forward?
Yeah, I will conclude with a haiku from a yet unpublished power rankings that was just sent to me.
Oh boy.
4 league drafts pass by. Fierce battles for the paddle. Trade me Julio.
And I think that will do it. Good night, everybody, and roll tide.
Roll Tide.